Hello? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Joseph. Yeah,
Hi.
Mr. Joseph. Yeah, audible.
Yes, thank you, sir. So, good afternoon, everyone. We are in the horizon of a new event, which is connected with Safe Solutions. It's really a great pleasure for me and the Department of Management that we have attained a very wonderful person for the day. To start off with this event, I invite prayer song. Kobiga, over to you.
എത്ര വളർന്നാലും ദൈവമേ ഞാനെന്നും അങ്ങേക്കു പൈതൽ എത്ര വളർന്നാലും ദൈവമേ ഞാനെന്നും അങ്ങേക്കു പൈതൽ കൂടെ നടക്കുന്നു പകലിൽ കൂട്ടിനിരിക്കുന്നു ഇരുളിൽ കൂടെ നടക്കുന്നു പകലിൽ കൂട്ടിനിരിക്കുന്നു ഇരുളിൽ എത്ര വളർന്നാലും ദൈവമേ ഞാനെന്നും അങ്ങേക്കു പൈതൽ.
Thank you, Gopika. Thank you so much. Now I invite Ms. Srikumar Menon, HOD, Department of Management, for the welcome address. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all. Today, we all are witnessing another great session, which would be a stepping stone for the career of our students on Indian Foreign Service. Myself, Srikumar Menon, HOD, Department of Management, welcomes you all. First of all, I would like to welcome our Director, Reverend Dr. Matthew George Warrell, our Principal, Dr. Tome Anthony, who give us constant support and encouragement for the conduct of all the activities of the department. Welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to welcome our Vice Principal, Reverend Dr. Lalu Alikel, to this enlightened program. Then, next, it's my great privilege to welcome our today's resource person, Mr. Srikumar Menon, ex-ambassador of India to the Republic of Sudan, Republic of Angola. It's my privilege to introduce such an eminent person who is in the Indian Foreign Service as Ambassador of India to the Republic of South Sudan from July 2015 to April 2018, and then subsequently as Ambassador of India to the Republic of Angola from May 2018 to November 2019. He was also concurrently accredited as Ambassador of India to the Republic of Sao Tome and Principe during this period. He retired from the Foreign Service on 30th November 2019 and is currently residing in his hometown in Palakkad. Welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. KK Praveen Krishnan, who is CEO of Safe Software Solutions Private Limited, who is our Industry Connect program partner and who has provided with a prominent personality who can really convey the significance of Indian foreign services and the challenges along with the opportunities that exist in reality. Next, I would like to welcome the team of Safe Solutions Integrated Solutions Private Limited and my dear colleagues to this session. Last but not the least, I take this opportunity to welcome our dear students to this session. Welcome you, everyone. Once again, welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now I invite Dr. Tome Anthony, Principal, Yogakshetra Institute of Management Studies.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Good afternoon to all of you. Respected, most distinguished dignitaries on this platform, especially Srikumar Menon, former Ambassador of India. Then Mr. Praveen Krishnan, CEO of Safe Software, head of the Department of Management, Ms. Shailaja. I have colleagues, Safe colleagues, and my dear students. Today I'm very happy to be part of this webinar. Usually we BBA students, they are aspiring for MBA. That also should be to get admission in the best schools like IIM Ahmedabad or any other properties like any IIMs or XLR. And maybe very few people are interested to go for IRMA or like rural management school and all. But I don't know whether this horizon, this area is familiar for you or not. That's I don't know much about that one. Anyway, this will be most probably this will be a home for you. That is maybe Srikumar sir will give you some idea about foreign service. Like that is all for all civil service. He will give you the detail of all. He may tell you all the details of civil services and IFS. Definitely, it is more charming, more. Srikumar sir, maybe you are hearing me, right? So let me ask you because after that I cannot ask you in between. So what do you say, that is whether IFS is better than IAS or IAS, IPS are better than IFS? Which is better? Srikumar sir, can you hear me?
Well, I'm not getting the audio, it seems. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, sir.
You can hear me?
So, yeah, I can hear you, sir. So why I take this opportunity to talk to you, like to interact with you. Otherwise, after that, the students will ask you questions. After that, I will not get an opportunity to talk to you. That's why.
Okay.
So that's why I thought it's better to talk to you now. That's why.
Okay.
Dear students, I'm so sorry. Just I'm getting an opportunity to talk to one IFS person. That's why I just asked. I would like to ask Srikumar sir, which is better, IFS or IAS or IPS?
Well, you are asking an IFS officer, past retired IFS.
So definitely, no doubt that is IFS. Answer
Exactly.
from our part also.
The answer is obvious that IFS is the best, and I think historically also, if you look at the rankings and other things in the past 40-50 years, it's the toppers who have actually joined the IFS. So obviously, I think there's no doubt about it. It's only a question of personal preference. If you are basically inclined towards this sort of job, then you take up the job. Otherwise, if you do not have an inclination, then you obviously choose another profession. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So, see, so we have MBA, then definitely some of them can go for LLB or any other. See, MBA, it's a BBA is one of the best courses, and a lot of opportunities are there after this. So, civil services are also an option for you.
Exactly.
So, this today, Srikumar sir will give you full details of civil services. Then civil service opportunities he will give you. Then another thing I would like to tell you, dear students, that is, see, all these things, see, whether you are going for MBA or IFS or IAS, whatever it is, or civil service or wherever you go, a BBA, we got, see, these 3 years, if you take it in a very good way, that means for the discipline part, for your presentation skills, if you develop your presentation skill, then only if you can develop your communication skill, presentation skill, if you can develop yourself in these 3 years only, you can join, whether it is a MBA or anywhere. See, BCom students, they can go, if they have mark, definitely they can go, they will get admission in any of the good school colleges for MCom. But BBA students, if you want to get an admission in a good college, like a big business school, first you have to give the entrance. Second one, definitely there is a personal round interview, the same way, same style of for the civil service. First you have to clear the exam, written exam. Then after that you have to clear the personal round interview. So it's very important. Your presentation skill must be developed. So this will be a good platform. This will be a good time to learn more about that one, and it should be in your mind. Whether I'm going for wherever you go, whether it's for business school or B school, MBA, or for civil service, or for any other good profession, definitely presentation skill is very, very important. So these things will be, it will be a good time for you. So I wish you all the very best, and thank you, Srikumar sir, for being with us today. And Praveen sir, I have seen you and your team also. Thank you very much to all of you for arranging such a good program. And I am taking this opportunity to congratulate our management department for arranging such a beautiful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pan. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, it is a great pleasure for me to invite Mr. Srikumar Menon, sir, to say a few words from your end, sir. A small session, a small words from your end, sir, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskaram. A very good afternoon to everyone out there. My greetings to you, Praveen, and your team in software, safe software and integrated solutions, and all the young, bright students of Yuvak Kshetra Institute of Management who have joined us here today. The thing is, I should first of all, at the outset, let me thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to all of you, share my experience of having worked as a diplomat in the Indian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of External Affairs. All I can say, as I told earlier, I said before this session started, that I have had an extremely satisfying and fulfilling career in the IFS, both at the professional level as well as at a personal level. So I have done postings before in Muscat, it is in Oman, in Tehran, it is in Iran, Khartoum in Sudan, Singapore in the Far East, Warsaw in Poland, The Hague in Netherlands, Juba in South Sudan, and Luanda in Angola. And the last two postings were as an ambassador. So just to sum up my career so far, all I can say is that if given a second option or a second chance to go back and rethink my choices in life and career, not that anyone is going to give me that choice, but still, just for the sake of saying this, let me tell you that I shall never trade this job with any other job. So an IFS officer's job is the most coveted one, I can assure you that. And if you are looking for a civil services position, IAS officer is equally good enough. But if you have the inclination, go for the IFS, because it offers you wide perspectives, a window to the world. It's a decision which I've never regretted, and I consider myself lucky and a big honor for myself to have represented my country abroad. So having said that, let's start the session, Praveen. It's up to you now.
Yeah, one
Yes, sir.
second.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Praveen, sir?
1 second. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Please.
I just would like to request Sini Thomas, who will be talking about the importance of IFS and all those things. So I request Sini Thomas to address. Sini, are you there? Sini Thomas? Yeah, one second.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am, we
Sini,
can hear you.
start. Yeah, Sini.
Yes. Very sorry to intervene. Actually, on behalf of SAFE, I would like to invite Srikumar sir to the session and just a small note of welcome to students as well. Indian Foreign Services is absolutely a position of high importance and huge responsibility. As India's influence and power continues to grow on the global stage, diplomacy is one of the most important tools at its disposal. Representing a country like India, which is one of the most populous and fastest growing economies in the world, with a population of more than 1.3 billion people, a piece of cake. It calls for patriotism, passion, diplomacy, and much more. We are very much honored to have you, your presence, Srikumar sir, as we connect with the future generations through our program, Campus Connect by Save Software and Integrated Solutions Private Limited. I strongly believe this session is going to be equally inspiring and exciting for my young friends here, as you're all ready to seize the opportunity before you. There is no passion in playing small, in settling down for something you're less capable of. So, throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails. We become successful when at least one of you come forward with bigger dreams, not confining into oneself, but for the world outside, contributing to our country's pride. Wishing you all the most delicious thinking session with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Srikumar, sir. We are all ears to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now the stage is the entire stage is completely open. Praveen sir, now we can start up. Srikumar sir, yes, over to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Srikumar sir, you can speak.
Well, okay. I'll set the ball rolling. Actually, basically, if anyone has any questions, they can always intervene. But I'll just start off by, the fundamental, most basic thing of our discussion today: the opportunities and the challenges in the IFS. To begin with, just to give you a background, Sini has already given you that. The Indian Foreign Service is charged with the responsibility of executing and formulating Indian government's policies related to the external affairs of our country. This covers the entire range of diplomacy, trade, and cultural relations. And in that context, the IFS officers are responsible for implementing the policies that have a bearing on India's relations with other countries, other friendly countries, as well as our friends who are not so friendly with us as well. So basically, diplomacy is it's an art of being friends with everyone around the world. India has had diplomatic representations in capitals, foreign countries in the form of embassies and high commissions. Just to explain what high commissions are, we have Commonwealth countries around the world, which was at one particular time governed by, was a British colony. So in all these places, we have high commissions, not embassies. So the ambassador is known as the High Commissioner of India there. So similarly, the British also send high commissioners to all these receiving countries in the Commonwealth. So that's the difference between the embassy and the high commission. India has diplomatic representations in all these countries. Around 163 countries are represented in some form or the other. Not everywhere we have ambassadors. We have ambassadors in about 120 to 130 countries. But in other places, we have representations in the form of Shadi affairs or through concurrent accreditations, which means that if an ambassador is posted in a particular station, another country where we do not have a specific venue or an embassy present, the ambassador in that country represents that country also. I mean, he's representing India in that country as well. In other cities and other than capitals, we have consulates general, honorary consulates as well. And in cities like New York, Geneva, Paris, we also have India's permanent representations called the PMI, the Permanent Mission of India. So we have a permanent representative in New York who is presently Mr. Tirumurthy. We have representatives in UNESCO based in Paris. We have representatives in Geneva who are representing us at the UN Human Rights Council and other UN organizations. So this is the entire gamut of our diplomatic relations with other countries. To begin with, an IFS officer represents India in all these Indian missions and is responsible for protecting India's national interests, promoting friendly relations, as I said before, with the host country, enhancing people-to-people contacts, ties, including NRIs and PIOs. Now, India has a huge diaspora present around the world. In every country, every nook and corner of the world, we have Indians present. So even if you go to a most unknown place in the world, you'll find an Indian there. So that's the responsibility of the Indian Embassy, to ensure that they are well and safe, and ensure that if they are required to have any particular issues to be sorted out, the embassy is there to help them out. So the embassy's responsibilities also include rendering consular assistance and facilities to internationals, regulating visa issuance to foreign nationals who want to or wish to visit India. And then the most important aspect relating to a function or the responsibility of a IFS officer is to report back to headquarters, reporting to headquarters on all the aspects of the host country, including the latest political and economic developments in that particular country that may have a bearing on our relations with that country, as well as relations with other countries, as well as protecting our own national interests. That's the most foremost requirement which an IFS officer has to make sure while doing his work. Then, as part of his or her work, I mean, I won't say, because in today's gender-neutral world, we have to say an IFS officer could be a male or a female. Depending on the seniority and the work of the work area handled and work allocation, an IFS officer represents the embassy and the country during negotiations for various agreements around the world, especially in multilateral fora. Bilateral agreements, definitely, for sure. That's where the ambassador and his entire team of IFS officers starts the negotiating process, which is then again given back to our, shared with our headquarters, who then take the process forward in conjunction or in consultation with the Legal and Treaties Division of our ministry. And so that's one aspect of the work of the IFS officer, to provide all the inputs for starting a certain negotiation on a certain agreement. So these agreements could be on the political side, the trade and the economic side, as well as any agreements which involve cooperation between the two countries, India as well as the host country. This involves mainly a close rapport and regular interacting with our interlocutors and counterparts from the host country. This would include our counterparts in the foreign ministry, as well as various government departments in that country. It could be the finance ministry also, it could be the industry ministry, the commerce ministry, ministries dealing with any aspect of work with which India has a certain interest in furthering its bilateral relations. So that's one point which I wanted to emphasize. Then we have the area where we are also, India plays a big role in the world as a member of various international forums like the United Nations. BRICS, again, is a very important area for us now. SAARC for neighboring countries, and other arms of the United Nations like UNESCO, the UNDP, and other arms. These also include bilateral political and economic cooperation areas, trade and investments, where we are the prime moving force in a way to start a certain process which is carried forward and then done, reaches its final conclusion after consultation with our headquarters or directives from the headquarters. And that's where the IFS officer has to play a very, very well-rounded role. The MEA works in coordination, as you probably know, that the MEA, in the Ministry of External Affairs, plays a very important, crucial role in carrying forward the Indian government's policies. And it works in close coordination with the Prime Minister's Office, the PMO, the National Security Council, which is the NSC, and other allied agencies, the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Ministry of Finance, and other agencies of our government, for basically in formulating and in implementation of India's foreign policy. So you can say that it's a huge responsibility for an IFS officer to represent the country abroad. And one thing which I would like also to mention, which one of our former IFS officers, Mr. Srinivasan and Mr. Srinivasan had mentioned at one particular time, that there is a continuous flow of instructions and reports between the MEA and the missions abroad. And these constant changes contribute to the collective decision making in the MEA. So it's again like MEA, the Ministry of External Affairs, contributing to the entire government formulation of policies in conjunction with other allied departments. So that's where I would like to stop initially. But right now, if there are any questions, I can carry on from here. Hello?
Yes, Sini? Hello, Sini?
Or should I carry on? Is it okay? Because I hope I have not put anyone to sleep. That's my worry.
No, definitely not, sir.
Are the students around? All of them listening? I hope.
Students,
Yeah, there.
Srikumar Menon sir is asking a few questions.
Yes,
Kindly
sir.
respond
Otherwise,
rather
we can
than
ask questions.
messaging, please. Kindly respond rather than messaging, please.
Well, again, maybe as I speak, maybe people will get some more ideas. So let me again continue. And to just give you an example of what diplomacy is all about, in a larger and broader sense, diplomacy is constantly evolving in today's unipolar and multipolar world. And accordingly, the Foreign Service officer has to adapt and adjust to these changes and update himself or herself to be in sync with the changing geostrategic equations and international security situation. So that's where I think the Indian Foreign Service officer plays a very, very important role in keeping himself updated on the latest developments around in the entire part. When he gets posted to a certain country, he has to, of course, focus himself on that country, the region around it, that country, the neighborhood. But in a larger context, in a broader context, he has to also have an indication, or in his mind, he should have an understanding of the global strategic, geostrategic conditions, the environment itself, so that he is able to take a certain informed view of any situation when things come to a certain head. So that's where he has to be a little alert as well. He or she has to be a little alert and make sure that he's able to make and analyze the best, make a best analysis of the situation. During the career, an officer may be experiencing different phases in international diplomacy, because diplomacy, as I said, is an evolving thing, keeps changing everywhere around the world. Nothing is stagnant, nothing is constant. So you keep on changing and adapting yourself to these changes. So there is one more thing which I would also mention to everyone around, as in any other profession, whether as an IFS officer or an IFS officer or an IPS officer, there is no specified template for your work. You are there at a certain situation where you have to take a decision, standing on your feet, do things and analyze the situation and do it. There's no template as such which you can follow every now and then. Yes, in a broader sense, there is a template where you are given a certain do's and don'ts, and you have to follow those rules and regulations and follow your work pattern accordingly. But there are occasions when you get posted to difficult stations. Foreign service is not all about glamour and glitz and all that. There are occasions in a career where you are posted to difficult stations, and the challenging working conditions that one has to face. So that's where I think, just to carry on that point, challenges, there are countries where there is a lack of infrastructure, poor healthcare facilities, widespread electricity and internet outages. I've been to those countries, so I won't name them because obviously it's not proper to do that. But in any country, other than the developed countries, you can face these issues. So the life of an IFS officer is not totally, hunky-dory. There are occasions where, you feel that, yes, it's a challenge. You have to grit your teeth, bear it, and carry on. So that's how life goes on. I think it applies to any other aspect of any other profession as well. So IFS service itself is not insulated from that. Then, as I said, the beauty of the service is that you get the good and the bad, and you have to take it in the stride. There's never a dull moment. There's never a dull moment, and you really cannot sit back and rest on your laurels. There's always a challenge waiting for you around the corner, which you will need to draw, and you need to draw on your inner strength, your inner strength of character, your resilience, and where you are, as I said before, you have to think on your feet, analyze the situation, and take on the on-the-spot decisions at that particular time. Again, as I said before, this applies to an IFS officer also, not only an IFS officer. An IS officer can also face a similar situation. An IPS officer also can face a similar situation. But again, it's a unique situation in the case of an IFS officer because you're dealing with a foreign country, you have different environment, totally alien environment initially, till you get used to that environment. So that's the challenge. And how best you handle that situation is what will reflect at the end and the end result. Success or failure will depend on that. And it's a big challenge, as I said before. But the training you have had in the run up to your first posting will have you prepared to some extent and will stand you in good stead. So don't worry about the challenges because the training which you get immediately after your selection, that will ensure that you are prepared and well ready to take on the most difficult places as well. Then living and working abroad, we have to see how a country and a society has its own unique way of dealing and with its governance and political and social issues. Like an IAS officer goes to a state, he gets posted to a state among one of the states in India. So each state has its own unique problems. It has its own social mores and other things. So similarly, for an IFS officer, when he gets posted to a certain country, to a certain region, the mannerisms of the people, the culture is different. So you have to slowly adjust to it and then work according to that environment. So that's again a challenge which I think the service prepares you for that. You don't have to worry about it. But initially, you must have that basic metal in you to ensure that you are ready for that sort of a challenge. So, any questions further on?
Yes, Srikumar sir, I have some questions. Maybe that can trigger my students' friends, my friends.
Sure.
So, is it compulsory, for example, when IAS persons or collectors join, they are supposed to learn the local language, like maybe Malayalam?
Yes.
So
There is in the case of the foreign service, there is a compulsory foreign language to be learned. Of course, the ministry will provide you all the facilities for that. Once this foreign language is allotted to you, then you have to undergo a certain course, both in India as well as when you are posted to the next station. You have to, within a certain period of time, 6 months to 12 months, you are supposed to undergo some basic learning of that language, get the required skills in writing as well as in spoken aspects of that language, and pass a certain exam. But that's not not very strict in the sense that you are given some leeway in terms of the difficulty of that language. So there are some languages which are extremely difficult and very alien to the Indian learning system. So like a person who does not have any background of Urdu or any other languages, and for him to learn Arabic will be very difficult. But at the same time, the system in our service provides you that basic wherewithal, the facilities to ensure that you quickly get into that mode of ease in which you can converse and learn the language quickly within a certain specified time. So the compulsory language is there. You have to learn the language, but one of the few selected languages which is in the list, you have to select one of them. I mean, of course, it's an option which the ministry gives you rather than you making a selection, and then you carry forward. So similar in the case of the collectors as well, who are posted to various districts, they have to learn the local language too, because it helps you to dispose of your functions in a better way.
So, how many languages you know? Like how many languages you can talk? Or
well,
maybe
frankly, because the thing is, once you leave a certain place, then you don't interact with people. I was in Iran, so initially I was fairly conversant with Persian language. But once you leave, that was almost 30 years, 25 years ago. Once you leave that particular place, then you lose touch with that language. And then I was posted in Muscat. That was a Arabic speaking area. So 3 years in a place, then you get out of that place, you go back to headquarters, and then you move to another place. Then like in my case, I went to Muscat, then I went to Iran, 2 different places altogether. Languages were different. Then from Iran, I came back to Delhi, then went to Sudan. Again, the Arabic was there, but again, it's a different version of Arabic there. Then I came back to Singapore, which is a whole world, entirely different world altogether. But that's an English-speaking area. Then I went to Warsaw. Polish is spoken there. So it's a mixture. It's a mixed bag, as they say. But you have to take it in your stride. But frankly speaking, I don't remember every. I mean, I'm not very conversant with. I'm not very comfortable while speaking or that particular language. Once I get to speak to someone, then I can slowly get back those memories, and then I can start a conversation. That's possible.
maybe I think you can understand, no? When somebody talks Persian.
That is there. Yeah. But to start a conversation like exchange of information and all, that's difficult unless you again brush up your that language itself. But it takes a little time, and then you get back to that old time.
Yeah. So one more question. I'm sure you may be having a lot of very challenging times. For example, maybe when you are in South Sudan, the war broke out there. So I think you were there. So at that time, what can be the challenges? For example, there are a lot of Indian peoples there.
Yes.
The life is very tough. How did you really handle in such a way that you protect the interest of the Indian community there? Can you just?
Well, the prime responsibility of an ambassador is to protect, to ensure that the welfare of the Indian nationals in that particular country. And the first thing which you normally do once you reach is to reach out to the Indians there, rather than, of course, you have to present your credentials to the country, to the president of that particular country, and then all the usual diplomatic rigmarole, you have to do that. But first and foremost is responsibility is to ensure the welfare of the Indian nationals in that country. And this is what we all do. Once you reach a certain station, the first thing you do is to reach out to the Indians, try to understand each and every one of them. It's not possible to meet everyone, but you get in touch with the association. There's usually invariably an Indian association in that place. You speak to them, you get in touch, you hold regular meetings and parleys with them, make sure that there are no issues with regard to their welfare, if they have any grievances to be dealt with. All those things you have to ensure. So in this particular case, when this crisis erupted in July of 2016, the embassy was already prepared with the basic reaction or action to handle that sort of crisis. And it was a crisis where all telephone lines, everything was down. But that's where the social media helped us a lot. We had internet connection and ensured that we reached out to almost 600 to 700 Indians there. And we were talking, our team of about 7 people in the embassy was round the clock talking to each and every one. And it was an absolutely stupendous responsibility for us. because we were getting calls from the Prime Minister's office, from our minister. She was in regular touch with me on an hourly basis, what is happening and all that. So, I mean, in fact, probably some of you might remember, the media was also after us. So we used to get calls from NDTV, Times Now and all that, wanting to know updates and all that. So that's how the scenario developed at that particular time. But I'm very happy that, we, despite us being a very small team, we were fairly well equipped. And most of the other embassies, the European embassies, had already left when this crisis erupted, because they have the system of evacuating their, staff immediately. We didn't have that facility, but, we stood our ground. We had fairly friendly relations with the locals also. And we were supported by the entire government machinery also. So no regrets as such, and no issues really came up. We were able to get 2 aircrafts from India. The Indian Air Force sent 2 aircrafts, and our Minister of State, General V.K. Singh at that time, came along with the aircraft, and we were able to arrange a very quick evacuation of all the nationals. So that was more or less a very important phase in at least my diplomatic career, where I was able to, with my team, I was able to deliver the goods.
So looking back, it can be one of the most challenging and maybe the proudest moment for you.
Very true. Absolutely. It also the manner in which we carried out that exercise elicited a lot of praise from the government. The foreign minister, of course, went on Twitter to personally name me as well as my team, and congratulated us for ensuring that there was no hiccups in that operation. The operation itself was called Sankat Mochan. So that itself shows, there was this Operation Rahat a few years back when people were evacuated from Yemen. And that was a huge exercise. Compared to that exercise, this was a smaller operation. But the very fact that our embassy was also very small and we had a very small team, so we were able to pull it off, and without any major issues coming through. So every Indian was taken care of. Some Indians, of course, opted to stay back because they had their own business interests and other things. They didn't want to leave their shops and other establishments just like that. So some of them opted to stay back, but we were able to ensure that those who wanted to come back, and on the flight, the relief flight, everyone came back, and immediately after the fighting stopped, and we could see that many of them wanted to come back also. So that's how the Indian Sea crisis situations also. They quickly forget what had happened before, and they again start life anew.
Okay. Srikumar sir, I just want to inform about this wonderful college, Yuvashetra. I request, maybe I'm sure the authorities may invite you one day to directly, and it's a very gem of a college, gem of peoples there, wonderfully led by the by the missionary, and we got some very enthusiastic principal and very dedicated and focused faculties. And this is my personal request. Once when you are free, sometimes we can plan a visit to this wonderful college. They are actually really trying to mold the citizens. I mean, very nice citizens. They are not really just producing graduates. They are actually they are playing a very major role in the way that education has to be there. So you can see that kind of good examples in that college. So
they are the generation next, as they say. So these are the very name Yuva Kshetra means the place for the youth, and the youth are the future of the country, and of the state also. If you can, in a smaller context, if you look at the place where we are living in, they are the future of Palakkad, or for that matter, future of Kerala itself, and they are the future bureaucrats of the country as well. They might join a profession, they might become doctors, engineers, but many of them may take the civil services exam and get into IAS, IPS, and the IFS. So a lot of things in store for them. The entire country's future rests on them as well. So I wish them the very best. and it's a great thing that the missionaries are doing, and I wish them the very best in their endeavors to make this institution more relevant in the coming years.
That's good. Sini, Sini Thomas, you're there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, sir. We would like to have more questions from the end of students. We would like to hear from you. So before that, I have a small question. I think I can take you back to the year, years before when you have those training at Mussoorie. So can you please share an experience how actually the training at Mussoorie, every civil aspirant looks forward to it, and how it kind of transform your life from a novice to a professional.
Sini, to set the record straight, let me just tell you that I didn't go to Mussoorie for the simple reason that I was co-opted into the IFS later. So I joined in the service, but I was co-opted into the foreign service later. But I can give you a background of what I've learned from my other colleagues. It's a great experience, and immediately after your selection, you have a certain attachment in the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy in Mussoorie, and it's a great experience. It makes you an all-round, prepares you in a great way for the future. And there are a lot of lectures. They go for study tours. They take you to various places where you understand what India is all about. So that's but in a very short span it happens. But it's a whole, well-rounded course, which is formulated in such a manner that those for 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks time you spend there, you are best equipped to handle future work as part of the foreign service. So not only the foreign service, all the other civil services people are also there. And then you branch out into the various services which are allotted to you.
Exactly, that's amazing, because everyone they say about this, how you transform your life after training.
What is it? I didn't hear you the last part.
One transforms oneself into a completely different.
Yes, very true.
Let you.
Yeah.
Seize the opportunities and challenge.
Very true, very true. And just to give you an example, this particular year there are three Malayalis from Palakkad itself who have gone there, and they are in regular touch with me, and they keep telling me how happy they are and how at the same time they are. The course is very strenuous, but they are learning a lot. They are very happy with the way it's panning out for them, and they say that they are excited, really excited, and looking forward to their next attachment in Delhi, which means they will be having a certain session or training session in the Sushma Swaraj Institute, a Foreign Service Institute, and followed by then a certain attachment with various divisions in the Foreign Ministry. And then you will be again attached to some sections in the other ministries where you will be deputed for a short while to the Finance Ministry and other ministries, so that you know how the Indian government functions. And then you come back, and then you have to undergo the language training. You are posted to a certain place, a certain station abroad, and linked to the language you are been allotted. So that's how it all pans out in the next 1 to 2 years.
Thank you, sir. And there can be certain situations where you literally felt stressed or strenuous. It's not an easy job. So how did you prepare? You must have gone through various situations where you had to, really prepare yourself very strong in mind, where you had to, manage those wars and all. So what was the motivating factor of it?
Well, these things do not come just like that. You have to be prepared initially, whatever be the situation, even whether everything is running smoothly the entire. It's in a day-to-day work routine also. You have to keep yourself prepared for any eventuality. So that's how the embassy also keeps itself ready for any contingency. And whether if it's a country like the Netherlands, it's a very safe country, absolutely peaceful. But you have to be ready for contingencies which are of a different nature, administrative contingencies, which are not really linked to the law and order situation of that country, but some other contingencies, like the situation happening in India, which has a certain ramification in Netherlands. For example, I can tell you there were a few instances in India in early 2010 and it's probably in 2011, I think, when the Nirbhaya case happened, if you remember that.
Yes.
And we were more or less, India was being castigated all around. The entire world media was, talking very bad, bad mouthing India all about the way the security situation and the way it was, how socially backward we were. But then we had to fight it out. We took up the challenge. We had regular interactions with the foreign ministry in Netherlands. Our ambassador there, I was not the ambassador there, I was the deputy. Our ambassador went there and, we had regular parleys, interactions with them, trying to sell our idea of our perspective of how things were panning out, what the Indian government was doing to ensure that this Nirbhaya case didn't happen again. So that's the challenge. You don't prepare yourself for such eventualities, but then you have to react as and when a certain crisis situation erupts.
Wow, that's great. Thank you, sir. And my dear young friends, they're all here to listen to you. Please open yourself.
Anyone?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, my name is Harida. I am from second BBA. And I have a doubt, sir. So my aim is to become an IAS officer, and I started the preparations also. My question is, which is a good optional subject for the civil service examination?
Well, there is again no hard and fast rule that, if you select a certain subject, you will be having a 100% result, a 100% guarantee that you will be able to get through. What you have to do is to select your subject according to your own taste, where you're comfortable, your background as well, and your own confidence level in a particular area of that particular subject. If you think that you have a passion for that subject, you must go ahead with that subject. So I won't say that you should select this particular subject to get into the IAS, the IAS service itself. Because if you look at the profile of IAS officers, you will see that they have done different. They have different backgrounds altogether. He could be an engineer, he could be a doctor, he could be a person who has done in humanities, graduated in humanities, or someone has done international relations and then still getting into IAS. So it's not that there's a hard and fast rule that you should be able to select a certain subject and then go in for the option of IAS. You see what is best for you, how comfortable are you in a certain subject, how much you like that subject. If you have the passion for that, go ahead, go full throttle and ensure that you do the best in the exam. And I'm sure you will get through.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Anyone else?
Students, it's your opportunity. Please make use of it. Sir is here completely for you people. Please.
One more thing which I can add is that, the basic requirement for an IFS officer is that you need to be a keen observer of all that you see around you. Analyze, evaluate, and execute. That should be your prime mantra. Analyze, evaluate, and execute. And you see how to position yourself to defend India's strategic interests. Even if you are an IAS officer or an IFS officer, India's interests are foremost everywhere. And you are representing the government of India. So you are there, you are the custodian of the Indian constitution also in many respects. The law and order, as an IAS officer, the law and order is in your hands. You have to ensure, you have to defend the interests of the government. That's where you have to be vigilant, you have to be observant, see things around you, analyze and evaluate and execute, take your decisions according to that. Sometimes you have to take a leap out of a certain model. As an IFS officer, I can tell you, sometimes you can take a leap out of the success of another country maybe a successful model is present in a certain country, and you can use those best practices, apply those best practices in India, and maybe share that with Indian agencies and see how best to adopt those practices. For example, in Netherlands, they are very good at water management. The Netherlands in the 50s had faced a huge flood crisis, and today you would never hear of floods in Netherlands, even though it's a low country, it's below sea level, but the floods has never come after the 1950s. And how they adopted it, because it's a marvel in itself. They have the best of engineers in the water management system, and they have this system of dikes, they have the system of canals, which has ensured that the country has never been affected by floods. So that's where an area where you can use those best practices for your situation or for your own problem solving issues in India. And I had also written a certain paper on that when I was in Netherlands, and it was published in one of our periodicals where basically I had suggested that our flood management control should be able to pick up some of the issues, some of the model which the Netherlands follows for fighting the scourge of floods in India. So that's one area where I think I should mention to you. For an IFS officer, there are occasions where he or she, ambassador will depute you for attending certain events, because an ambassador cannot be present in every place. So he will depute the junior junior or his deputy to a certain event to attend on behalf of the ambassador. There are conferences which frequently happen in those countries. Then there are interactive meetings with the foreign ministry. The foreign ministry has various meetings where the other ambassadors are also called, the other representatives of the embassies are also called, and this is where again the IFS officer starts learning on the job. You get to understand, because these are things which are not the government cannot prepare you for that. You have to prepare yourself by learning things from these experiences, from these nations. The basic time and the framework can be provided to you, but how you react, how you assimilate that information, that's for each individual to do the best out of that. So that's where the IFS officer has to work on. Basic skills, like for an aspirant like you, the basic skills which you must have foremost is to have a thorough knowledge of international affairs. If you are looking for the foreign service, you have to be very good. You have to be a very, very good reader. The more you read, the better for you, because it opens the window to the entire world. But you can use those experiences of learning and reading, which you can use it later on in your personal experiences or interactions when you're abroad. Then you also have to have a firm understanding of India's position with various issues that can impinge on our bilateral relations with that particular host country, as well as maybe a third country with whom we are with whom we have friendly relations. There are occasions where sometimes your host country may not be in having good relations with that third country. And so that's where you have to be play a very tight rope and ensure that you do not antagonize the two sides at all. So that's again a prime role for a diplomat to understand the nuances of the relationship from both sides.
Srikumar sir, I'm requesting. One student have asked the doubt, no? So I just would like to know the name of that student who asked the doubt about this IAS and IFS. Who is that girl? Hello.
So my name is Harida.
Harida, I really appreciate you, Harida, for asking this question. So I'm just, I'm just trying to arrange a meeting. Maybe I'm sure, Srikumar sir will help her. For example, you can even visit his house and talk to him.
Most welcome. Okay? Absolutely.
So I'm just trying to,
Harida, you're most welcome. Praveen will be able to guide you to my place. Absolutely no problem at all.
Thank you so much, sir.
It will be my pleasure to help you out, and maybe you can have a small session. My wife will also be there. She's She understands all these things better because she has been with me for the last 35 years. So she's also a mini, resource of information for that. So maybe when you come over, we can both talk to you and help you understand the issues.
So
Sir, it
those
will be a
students,
great opportunity for me.
yes.
What is it?
Sir, it will be a great opportunity for me, definitely.
Definitely. Most welcome anytime. So be in
Thank you,
touch
sir.
with Praveen and he will guide you to my place. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
sir.
this is an opportunity, Harida, and I'm sure those who ask questions today can will get an opportunity to meet Mr. Srikumar Menon. He's very few of Palkad, people from Palkad who has made us proud. So that's why we, as part of Campus Connect program, we personally requested him to address. So I request more students to ask questions. We have only one girl student ask question. What about boys?
Yeah. In today's gender neutral world, the boys are taking a back seat nowadays, it seems. Why is it like that?
Oh my God.
Well,
Hello boys, come on.
well, just to put things in perspective, people are a little diffident. I don't know why, but if you want to be a diplomat, you have to be a good communicator with a sound knowledge of India's political, cultural, and economic status. But you have to be a good communicator. You have to remove all your diffidence, come forward, be expressive, be an extrovert, because that will make you a good leader also. So that's very important. So the
Sini, you can
our young
Sini,
friends
you
who
can
are
invite
around, they
others.
should understand that you should come out and speak out.
Yeah. Mr. Rahul KR, you can ask question. Rahul, Suraj, Namita, Vandana, Sona Suresh, come on.
It's good to be a good listener, but you must also be able to speak, huh?
Yeah, Gautam. Hello. Sini Thomas, over to
Yes,
you.
yes. Thank you, sir. Guys, you all belong to BBA, so it's where you need to be updated about what's happening around the world. And I think you must be having more questions. Please don't feel scared, or you need to face the world. You are the younger generations. You can very well, if you have network connections, please feel free to post in the chat as well. We would take it forward. So I would like to, can you just share one of the proudest moments of your life, especially in the beginning of your career?
Well, if I remember correctly, my first posting was to Oman, and I remember the ambassador immediately after reaching that particular place. I remember the ambassador, the next day itself, it was like that, if I remember correctly, or maybe 2 days later. The ambassador just called me in the morning and said that, there is a certain event happening. I was a young raw officer at that time. Totally, I'm still getting to know the place, and got up in the morning, and the ambassador calls me and says, you get ready quickly. You have to attend a certain function. There's which I'm not able to go, and you immediately rush. The car is coming over, and you'll pick you, and the driver will pick you up. You have to go. All this happened, and I had just 30 minutes of time, and this was just 2 or 3, maybe 1 or 2 days immediately after I reached. Then I didn't even know where I had to go. The driver had all the details, and he took me to this particular place, which was where the president of that, the prime minister of that country was inaugurating a certain mint. They were bringing out a new commemorative coin, and this was just for me as a raw officer. It was very, it was a great experience representing the embassy, and the foreign minister was there. The big shots, the other ambassadors from the other embassies were there, and the president of that country was there. So it was something which was unique for me, a big experience which I always remember throughout my life. And that's where you straight away learn from the no, you're pushed into the fire and you start learning from that. It's like it's like baptism in fire itself.
Exactly. Such situations give you great learnings, and you find yourself so confident and proud, right?
Very true. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, students, I hope now the time limit has already been exceeded. I know, I'm sorry. Sorry, Srikumar sir. Sorry, Praveen sir. Sorry, Sini ma'am. Anyway, any other small queries from your end, students? If anything, sir will be completely available for you through his phone number or through his email. He'll be completely available for you people. So now shall we wind up with the in response, please, students? Okay, I take the silence as a yes. Okay. Right. Right. Thank you. All right. Now we are officially winding up with the entire session. And now I invite Miss Vaishnavi not Vaishnavi, Miss Adira of second BBA to give the vote of thanks. Adira, over to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon to one and all present over here. It was an immense pleasure to attend such a wonderful session. And first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Srikumar Menon for allowing us to pick a view on the life of an IFS officer, like how they face challenges, adapting a new environment, adapting to new places and all, and how can someone become a successful IFS officer, and sharing by giving some examples of sharing his own experiences as an IFS officer. So really it was a great session, and also special thanks to Mr. Praveen sir and team for introducing new ideas and cultivating new talents and knowledge within us. Lastly, but not the least, I would like to thank all the coordinators for providing us such an opportunity to attend such an appreciable session. Thank you.
Thank you, Adira. Praveen sir, Srikumar sir, Sini ma'am, shall we completely wrap up the entire session?
Sure. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
Just before we wind up, my special thanks to all of you for being patient and listening to my long rambling words. But I'm glad. As I said, I'm available anytime. The students are most welcome, and they can call me up. They can talk to me. They can come over to my place, and I will be very happy to help them with tidbits of information and tidbits of whatever advice I can give. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for those warm, comforting words, and most importantly, those informations that you provided to the students. It's very, very helpful, because one of the students, at least, I think Miss Harida CH, she's eagerly waiting to leap her career into this IAS section. So it's a really great opportunity for us, and as well as many of the students who might have not even thought about their career, which has to be done. So I think your session will be a much more helpful one. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, Praveen sir. Thank you so much for bringing us this wonderful and eminent personality for us. And thank you so much, Praveen sir. Sini ma'am, it's really a great pleasure, acquainting with you, and coordinating this entire session with you is a great opportunity for us also. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll wind up the session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day. Good day, everyone. Good day. Students, you can slowly leave the session. Thank you.